Welcome to episode 11 of OnFARM with the Royal Highland and Agricultural Society of Scotland. I'm Anna Davis, and I thought we'd start this time by introducing you to the horses here at the farm. I'm joined by Gentle Giant Duke, Welsh Pony Chuckles, and Miniature Shetland Angus. We only compete at small local shows, but these boys are a huge part of our lives. Certainly for me, over COVID, they've been a great tonic for being able to escape into the countryside and fresh air and relieve some of the stress. As for my daughters, I think having a pony helps them to develop compassion, discipline, patience, responsibility and so much more. Good boy. So this episode is all about the relationship so many of us have with these beautiful creatures. Hearing from all sorts of people involved in competing with horses in many different ways at the Highland Show.
My name is Anne Logan. I'm a Stirling Area Director for the Royal Highland and Agricultural Society of Scotland. My responsibility at the Royal Highland Show is Chief Steward of Show Jumping. I'm also actually Chairman of British Show Jumping Scotland, and I work still part-time as an equine vet with Lohoar Equine Practice. And my daughter used to show jump and events, so yes, I suppose I do have a bit of experience.
You certainly do. Now, for this episode of the podcast, we are going to be chatting to a couple of show jumpers. So that's your particular area of expertise. But we're also hoping to talk to people who show Highland ponies, Welsh ponies, Clydesdales. We've also got a chat with a farrier lined up because, of course, none of these horsey people could do what they do without the support of farriers and vets like yourself. But I'd love to get from you sort of some of the sort of bigger picture stuff. And I guess starting off with, why do you think it is so important to have such a vibrant equestrian presence at the Highland Show?
Equestrianism in Scotland is probably worth about 300 million to the Scottish economy, and the Royal Highland Show showcases everything equestrian within Scotland. There's a huge amount of people who just come to watch horses because they love them. They don't own them, but they love to see, and they love to see the show jumpers in the main ring. Sometimes people who have been in the Olympics or the European teams, people book their holidays from one year to the next to make sure that they can go to the show.
What do you think it is that keeps drawing competitors to come back year after year to take part in the Highland Show?
For the Scottish competitor, it's a great thing to compete at the Royal Highland Show. For the competitors that come up from the south, they come because we have Hoy's qualifiers. I'd like to say they come because we are the best show in the country. But more importantly, the show jumpers come because we have a large money pot for them to win. But mostly for the showing people, the light horse, the Hoy's qualifiers are important. For the Clydesdales, the Highlands and the Shetlands, it's their Olympics. To win at the Highland is probably the accolade that they all want to achieve.
Thanks to Anne Logan. We'll hear more from her later on in the episode. My eldest daughter, Honor, who's 6, has just joined the Pony Club, and we managed one outing before COVID put paid to events for the time being. Honor, what do you think you're looking forward to the most when the Pony Club starts up again?
Winning and having fun.
Winning? Oh, you think you might win?
Maybe.
Fingers crossed?
Yeah.
And do you think Chuckles will behave himself?
I hope he does.
Oh, good. For many of us, Pony Club is the first toe in the water of equestrian sports. It's how most show jumpers, including many Olympic champions, very first got the bug. It's also a favourite spectacle in the Highland Show's main ring.
I'm Catriona Willison. I'm the Pony Club area rep from Stirling, right the way north to Orkney, and includes the Western Isles. I'm also on the Mounted Games Committee for Pony Club.
Ah, right. And that is one of the reasons why we're speaking to you today. Could you perhaps tell us a bit about what Pony Club Games is and how it plays out at the Highland Show?
Yeah, Mounted Games are for ordinary children on ordinary ponies to have fun. It's fast and furious. It was an idea thought up by Prince Philip for all children to have fun on their ponies. It's very, very competitive sport, but also anyone can have a shot. The highlight of many a child's career is to take part in the Highland Show in the main ring with all their branch standing round cheering quite happily for them. It's just, lots of smiles on that day from the children. There's the bending race, which is very, very fast, where they bend in and out of poles, up and down, and pass on to the next team member. There's always lots of cheering for that one. And if they knock a pole over, they have to go off and fix it. So sometimes it's not always the fastest team that wins. Sometimes it can be the team that corrects a mistake the quickest. There's also lots of games where they have to put a ball in a bucket. Now, if you see these little ponies going so fast, and the children can actually get a ball into a bucket or balance a ball on top of a traffic cone at the speed they're going at, it's just amazing. And all that in between, they're getting on and off. Stepping stones, they have to jump off, run across the stepping stones, jump back on. And the way the children vault onto these ponies is absolutely amazing.
It sure is, and that's why I was never any good at it myself. It must involve a lot of practice and a lot of discipline, so actually it's quite a good thing for children to be involved in, I imagine.
Absolutely, and teamwork as well. You have to have a huge team about you, not just the team on the ponies. It's a huge effort from all parents, members, and they practice all winter. Unfortunately, this year, obviously, that hasn't happened. They're just getting out and about now. But teams will practice all winter for competitions that start off very early April. And it's the top 6 teams in Scotland that qualify to take part in the Highland Show.
So, yeah, everything you learn doing Pony Club games is pretty applicable for going through life, I guess, isn't it? Teamwork, accuracy, detail, practice, it's all there.
And the highs and lows as well. You know, you're not going to win every week, and every year you're not going to win at the Highland Show. But when you do, it's an extra bonus.
Definitely. And so we can see everybody back next year at the Highland Show enjoying the thrill, can we?
Absolutely. Yes, even more so than normal, I think. They'll be so glad to get out because we've had no competitions this year at all. So they'll be very happy to take part in something next year.
Up next, someone else who first got the bug for being around ponies as a small child. But as he freely admits, that was quite some time ago. Tom Best is a retired teacher and passionate breeder and shower of ponies, particularly Welsh ponies.
One of the things that drove me, the very first show I attended with a pony was the first pony I ever owned. We were 4th in the 12-2 class, because that's the only class we could go. Got that green rosette, thrilled to bits. Now, in our area, we had a very snooty little girl who went to private school in Edinburgh, and she had this very quality riding pony. But she said to me, "Who did the plaits on your pony?" So I stuck out my chest and said, "I did. I did them. I did them last night." "And what about the tail?" I said, "Yeah, I did that as well. Yeah, I'm really very pleased with it." And she said to me, "It's very obvious a man did that." And I said, "I don't know what you mean." She said, "Because they are so awful, they are so untidy, they're dreadful." I was so affronted and ashamed by that. And I decided at that moment, no one would ever say that to me about the turnout of a pony or horse at a show. And it was many, many years later, a good friend now and a very well-known professional in England called Stuart Hollings, he passed a casual remark at a show, and I thought my ponies were beautifully turned out by this time, and he said, "It's a pity you hadn't quite got the hang of the plaits in the mane." And I said, "Really?" "Yeah," he said, "they have to be tidier than that. They're not even, they're not equal." And he was my next driver, I can tell you. And it's that kick in the backside you sometimes need, an honest opinion. And I think my plaits eventually in these little riding ponies became immaculate, so much so that the kind of icing on the cake for me at a major show at Malvern, one of the top professionals, because there was a clashing, I need to ask them to bring my pony to the ring. This top groom said to me, "I'll do that if you show me how to do the flash marks on your pony's quarter, because none of us can work out how you're doing those, and they're absolutely beautiful." Well, I'd made it. I'd absolutely made it at that point.
Along with his business partner David Blair, Tom set up the Waxwing Stud in Fife in 1972.
For some reason, I took to ponies, and that was a long, long time ago. I'd be still at school when I was interested in them, and it's developed ever since. You know, given that I'm now 69, it's been a long, long journey, and it never ends, and I'm glad. It's wonderful, fantastic. I live in Shetlands, and along with my partner at the stud here, David Blair, we breed Welsh Section B ponies, but we've bred a selection of breeds over the years, mainly Welsh. We are judges. I judge for various panels, Welsh panel obvious, but I also judge ridden show ponies and hunter ponies to the British Show Pony Society. I judge for the National Pony Society, the Showing Register. So I'm on a number of panels.
Can you just tell me, what is it about Welsh ponies that kind of captured your heart?
I think it was Welsh ponies and Wales. I think there was a combination of both. But I think there's another thing. I like pictures. I love paintings. I'm interested in art. And so I think there's a value in looking at something. Looking at a Welsh pony, it's particularly beautiful. And I think that's a key thing. They're lovely. And we also had, apart from the Welsh ponies, we've had the British riding pony, which is that very quality, ethereal, kind of ballet dancer type of pony that struts its stuff like Naomi Campbell. And it's just a beautiful thing to look at. And so I don't apologise for just liking to look at something. And I think that the Welsh pony has a particular beauty, especially through its eyes. Those great big poppy eyes and the dished face. Yeah, I just love them. So I've liked them and the breed from a very long time.
And how quickly was it then before you started to get involved in the showing circuit?
Well, in fact, I thought you'd ask me this question. So these two ponies, Norwood Trickle and Norwood Snowberry, were our very first entries at the Royal Highland Show. That was 1970. Now, I'd been going to the Highland Show for 10 years prior to that. I first went to the Highland Show in 1960 when the show moved to its permanent site at Ingliston. So I was just a boy. I was just a lad. 10 years after that very first visit to the Royal Highland, I found myself showing these two ponies. So David Blair and I shared interest and we showed these two ponies. Needless to say, they won absolutely nothing. But the next year we got some rosettes, which was great. And I noticed that the very first time we won our first rosette at the Highland Show was in 1974. So that was when I first had a red rosette at the Highland Show. And the pony we won it with was a pony called Pentland Monarch that we had bought for £50 as a colt foal. Well, at that time, we still felt other people won those rosettes, first rosettes. We never entered thinking that we could win a red rosette that day. And to stand at the top of the line when it had been an ambition, it's something you had been looking forward to. You know, it's that moment when time actually stands still and you're almost looking in at yourself thinking, I'm going to win that red rosette. So it's actually the anticipation and the red rosette coming towards you. It's almost happening in slow motion. And you think, but yeah, I've got this red rosette. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a great feeling. It was achievement. It was enjoyment. It was feeling as if this is where I now want to be. And without knowing it, it was setting the standard for the future. Some 20 years later, in 1994, we won the supreme accolade of light horse at the Highland Show with a homebred Welsh Section C called Waxwing Reward. And he qualified for the Horse of the Year show.
Thank you to Tom for sharing his stories. One thing that's becoming clear is that keeping horses seriously is usually a mix of passion, hobby, work and lifestyle. Your choice of breed, though, or competition indeed, can sometimes be a happy accident.
I'm Jo Jack. I live near St Andrews, just south of St Andrews.
So can you tell us a little bit about your involvement with Highland ponies?
Yeah, I got introduced to them in 1981 when friends of my parents who had a stud up Glenesk wanted a mare ridden and wondered if I would try and ride it at the Highland Show. So I got given this very accident-prone mare and I ventured to the Highland Show age 16. She had spent more time being injured than being ridden, so we were at the end of the line, but the seed was sown. I don't think I've missed a show since.
Really? Wow. So she not only introduced you to a love of going to the Highland Show, but also a love of the Highland breed.
Yes. It was just an introduction to one of the best shows definitely in the country, probably the world. I know that because when you're away judging other places, you meet people and you say about the Highland Show, and it's the